Hey guys, it's Dani. Today I have quite a special video for you. Not only am I going to take you along and show you how I plan on reviving this dehydrated Vanda orchid and pretty much giving it a second chance at life, but today we're also kickstarting a campaign that we've been working behind the scenes for a little while, and is the best type of campaign. It's a humanitarian campaign. Because 2020 has been a hard year. It felt like a battle from the very beginning, and now that we're very close to its end, it still doesn't really feel like we've won. But you know what? Every new beginning comes from another beginning's end. Things will eventually end. So what we did is put together a campaign that aims to give a helping hand in the fight against all of this unfairness that 2020 has brought to us. Our aim is to help people in desperate medical need all around the world. And to do so, we need to help the people who provide this medical assistance. And these are the medical staff. If there are any heroes at the end of all of this, it is the medical staff who put their lives in danger, who are there in the front line, giving us all a chance at life. Starting this Thanksgiving until the end of the year, we have made available the Orchids at Heart collection, which is limited edition. We created it specifically for this campaign, in which 100% of the profits will be donated to Doctors Without Borders to help them with their humanitarian missions all around the world. In addition to this, Repotme.com, who you guys know already, they are my long-term collaborators. They will match 10% of the total amount we manage to gather. And of course, we as well will be donating separately to Doctors Without Borders, in addition to purchasing this merch ourselves. Just expand the description of this video, and there you will find the link towards the merch store. You will see we have a lot of products this time. The design is brand new, and all of the products come in multiple colors, multiple sizes. I'm sure you will find something that you like, so do expand the description and click on that link and just check it out. Again, 100% of the profits will be directly donated to Doctors Without Borders, and this will be done directly by Teespring. Additionally, of course, you can directly donate to Doctors Without Borders. I will link you to their website down below. You can also read up on them, get a little bit more acquainted with their work if you're not sure exactly what it is they're doing. And I hope that together we can help people that are really struggling right now. So with that said, on with the video. Alright, so the problem with this Vanda is that I don't actually have much of a root system inside the pot, if any at all. But I do have some viable roots on top of the medium. The problem is, if they're not in contact with the water and the moisture, then they will not hydrate the orchid. The environmental humidity here is just not enough to completely hydrate this super stressed and dehydrated orchid. So in the meantime, what I did was place a little bit of microfiber on top of the medium, and what I did was just mist it or water this microfiber pretty much daily. And in this way, I could actually deliver a little bit more water than just misting these aerial roots. And as you can see, this hasn't necessarily been enough because microfiber cloth eventually dried, and what this orchid needs is air and moisture at the same time pretty much continuously for a while. So rather than MacGyvering something for this orchid, I would much rather cut the stem and pretty much move the entire orchid a little bit deeper in the pot. So I'm gonna take you along and I'll show you how I will do that. First things first though, we need to unpot this orchid from its current container. For this, I don't need to soak anything because I'm pretty sure I have no root inside the medium, and even if I do, it might just be one little stumpy root. And because these roots on top of the medium are not very large, I don't necessarily need to soak them to make more flexible either. They will actually fit inside the pot. And somebody's taking a bath, yet again. The good life, Maya. Yeah, no worries in the world. Okay, let's let Maya enjoy the bath and get back to our orchid. Alright, let's see what we have inside this pot. I am pretty curious as well, but I think I know what we're gonna find. Yep, a whole bunch of dead roots. Which is okay because I anticipated this, so I can go ahead and cut away this portion of the stem without fearing that I might have cut away any live root. I have to say it's pretty funny, quote unquote, how both of my Mimi Palmers didn't actually fare so well. This is my second Mimi Palmer and I was hoping or expecting it to be healthier than my previous one, which I thought was suffering from fusarium. But look at that, in comparison to other orchids, even the Sanderiana, this one just wasn't so vigorous. Maybe it was a fluke, maybe I just had a little bit of bad luck, but yeah. Let me know in a comment below if you guys had issues with your Mimi Palmers not growing as vigorous as other orchids. I am genuinely curious. Okay, so I will reuse the pot, but I will throw away this medium. It's not super old, but I repotted this orchid at the beginning of the year, and since the roots just degraded in the medium, probably the pot remained a little bit more moist than it should, and this medium degraded faster than it should. It doesn't really smell very good, very fresh, so I'd much rather use fresh medium and not disturb the orchid for at least 2 years or so. Next step, it is time to cut away the excess stem, which is not alive anymore. You can see that even the base here has dried, not only the roots. And to do so, I got myself my garden pruners, which doesn't look so appealing. It says stainless steel on it, but it kind of rusted in the meantime. So I want to go kind of above the last dried root, even though I think my stem here is not quite dry yet, but it's okay, we're gonna seal it up and I'll show you how. But definitely I want these roots to be in the medium, so the further up I go, the better. But at the same time, I need to maintain a little bit of a distance here just to account for potential drying up of the stem. So I think if I cut here, I should be just fine. Alrighty. Oh, and look at that, the stem is actually dry. I will give you a close-up. So I'm gonna remove a little bit these dried sheaths because they will just start to break down in the medium, and yep, the stem right here is quite dry. I don't see any fusarium, which is good. According to some articles, a sign of a fusarium infestation would be a purple ring around the stem. If the articles are correct, means this orchid is not sick, which is good. It might just be a case of severe stress. From the very beginning, this orchid did not have a good root system, and the roots it arrived with when I purchased it weren't looking the best. Many of them were already dry or looking a little bit yellowish, looking like they were about to go away. So that's exactly what they did, and the thing is, the new roots, which all of these grew in my care, they were not touching the medium, they could not help the orchid get hydrated, and slowly and surely the orchid got dehydrated until one point in which it couldn't even grow these new roots anymore because it did not have energy anymore. So it is really important for these roots to help the orchid right now. So with that said, honestly, because the stem is dry, I don't even need to seal it up. If the tissue is dry and dead, pathogens cannot enter the sap flow. There is no sap flow here. However, I will go ahead and seal it up just to show you how I like to go about it, because you might encounter a case in which the stem or rhizome or whatever you're cutting is actually green and not dry. And it would be a good idea to seal it up just to prevent potential pathogens from entering the orchid via the sap stream. Traditionally, to seal off cut plants, growers and florists alike used wax. And that is a very good material to use if you have some candles lying around the house. Let them burn for a while until you have liquid melted wax on top, and then when you have enough, just dip the stem into the candle, and that will create a very efficient wax seal. Make sure that you dip the stem a little further up, not just slightly touching the wax. However, I prefer a different method. I like to use hot glue. I have my hot glue gun at hand at any time. All I need to do is plug it in and I can use it. So hot glue will do the exact same thing as wax. All I need to do is place an amount on the actual portion that I cut and a little bit further up. I have been using this technique for quite a few years now with some orchids that needed sealing, and it was super efficient. Okay, so I'm gonna let this cool off and harden enough, and I'm gonna give you a close-up. Okay, so it's been a few minutes and the glue is completely hard enough. It's rather transparent, and as you can see, I did go a little bit further up on the stem with the glue just to make sure that everything is sealed. Although, as I was saying, in this case, the stem is completely dry, so there was no need for this. But if your stem is alive, is green, and you can visibly see it has moisture on it, then definitely sealing it off will greatly limit pathogen infections. So with this done, we can go ahead and pot the orchid. I will be using the very same pot and the very same type of mixture of medium. So as per my usual routine, I will place a layer of sphagnum moss on the bottom, which will help me, or rather help the medium inside stay evenly moist, absorb that water that I leave in the tray. Now, if you're new to my channel and you're not really acquainted with my technique and why I do all of these things and how it actually helps me and my orchids, check the video down below. I do explain in my How I Water My 400 Orchids collection exactly what the thought process behind this technique is and how it actually helps me out. All right, so I think this level is pretty okay. Let's see. And yes, I think at this level, the roots are actually in contact with the medium quite enough to stay moist. It is also very important to provide aeration, hence why I am using bark in this combination as well. And with Vanda orchids, I do use quite a lot of bark, but it is equally important to use sphagnum moss just to make sure that the entirety of the medium is wicking. If you only have a layer at the bottom wicking, then the technique that I was talking about will not work. So I'm gonna go ahead and layer these materials all the way to the top. And before I finish off with the final bark layer, I like to use slow release fertilizer. This is Osmocote Pro High K. I think I used about 10 beads of fertilizer. And then I'm gonna finish off with bark chips as my top layer. It looks good, it limits algae, and it keeps in that moisture just a little longer. And we are pretty much done. As you can see, I did maintain the first row of leaves on top of the medium. I don't really want to bury them, but it was actually really important to pot the stem deep enough so that the roots actually touch the medium. The mixture itself is very airy. The pot, being unglazed clay, provides ventilation and aeration to the roots as well. And also I made sure not to compress the sphagnum moss. I'm also using a good brand, which is very fluffy and doesn't compress easily, even in time. I have these products listed down below in the description. And I think from now on, I should see quite a little bit more hydration in my Vanda orchid, at least I hope so. But you know how it goes, there is always a chance that this orchid actually has some underlying conditions that I am not aware of, that I cannot see at the moment. I hope it's not the case. I don't think it's the case. I don't see many signs of that. I think it's just a case of dehydration due to bad circumstance in which this orchid was in, which hopefully I corrected. And all that's left to do now is to give this orchid a good watering. I will make sure that the roots are kind of always moist and I can see the color of the roots on top of the medium. If it's green, it means the roots are wet. If it's not green, it means it dried, so I can water the orchid. Again, because this is a terracotta pot, I will not have excessive moisture in the pot. It will all be very ventilated and nice. And with this, hopefully I can come back with an update in a few months showing you a beautiful hydrated Mimi Palmer, which is one of my favorite Vandas. So it really is a shame that it didn't work out so well, but hopefully we corrected that today. Fingers crossed, and stay tuned for an update. And that is about it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and it will help you out if you're ever in a situation of dealing with a monopodial orchid which doesn't have pseudobulbs and rhizomes, and for whatever reason you absolutely need to cut the rhizome. But wait, before you go, don't forget to expand the description, click on the link and check out the Orchids at Heart collection, in which all of the profits will go to Doctors Without Borders. And with that said, thank you again for watching. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!